I found it lying near this rock. Well, I tell you, it's the darndest thing I've ever seen.
Oh, it's all right, Mr. Oakey, that's ours. You see, we crashed our eagle out in the desert, as you do, but we couldn't find the randomiser afterwards. I'm glad it's all right. Oh, and I see you've even made this week's selection for us.
Best I can do.
Well, I'm sure it'll be... Yep, I'm happy with that. It's Stingray, Marineville Traitor. So here we go, time for some more Stingray. I think it's been quite a while since we've seen Stingray on the randomiser. I think the last one might have been In Search of the Taj Mahal, which feels quite a while ago. Anyway, Marineville Traitor. This was, I think, actually the penultimate episode of the show to be aired in the UK on first run. We've got a very sombre opening. Commander Shaw sat out on the patio looking a bit sad. Hey! Oh, okay, that is interesting. So Troy and Phones share a bedroom. That's not the odd thing. But on Phones' side of the room, and you can only just make it out, he has the same framed photo of Troy that Atlanta has on her bedside table. So Troy, well known for sort of having a bit of an entanglement with both Atlanta and Marina. There's also something going on with Phones as well.
Here, Aquamarine. Looks like we're in for a quiet evening.
Or has Phones just asked for that photo of Troy so he remembers who he's actually working with? I don't know if Troy and Phones actually like share a house together, or was that just sort of like a sort of standby room, maybe? I don't know. Anyway, Lieutenant Fisher's alone on duty in the control tower. Oh! And he's been slugged.
Father, the emergency alarm. Father?
Oh. But he's not there.
Father,
he's gone.
Where are you?
It is rather inconvenient that you'd have an emergency alarm that wakes up everybody in Marineville no matter what the emergency. I can understand it if it's like, oh my god, we're all about to be nuked, but sort of like...
I was slugged from behind.
Lieutenant Fisher got hit on the head. It doesn't really need everybody to be woken up.
See hydroprobe.
But that's a vital piece of our long-range warning system.
So vital that we've never mentioned it before or since.
Who wanted to weaken Marineville's defenses. We have a traitor and I want him.
So the thingy has been stolen.
Commander Shaw. All personnel are to remain in their quarters for a further period of 4 hours. The hydroprobe receiver is still missing. You had a kind of hectic night, Atlanta. Why don't you get on home and catch up on your sleep?
Well, this is a new angle. Do you feel okay?
Quit fooling, Atlanta. I just think you look tired and could do with some sleep.
Well, I never
This is
thought
going
I'd see the
surprisingly
day when
well
you
for
released anyone from
a
duty.
conversation between a
Emergency
father and
or not.
daughter, a father telling his daughter that she looks tired. That can often end with sort of half an hour of, what do you mean by that? What are you saying?
Marina to dinner tonight. Guess I could use the time.
She's letting it go very easily. But that's all part of Commander Shaw's plan.
I'll
He
see you
needs her out
later,
of the room.
Tracking station from tower. Are all automatic message interceptor units working?
Why, yes, Commander. They're always operating.
Okay, Lieutenant, just checking.
So, that was the first time, I think, first and maybe only time we ever saw inside the tracking station. Normally it was just a voice over the intercom. And it's strange. We have a traitor in our midst. And we also have this lieutenant working at the tracking station who we've never seen before. Who could the traitor be? And that is one of those things that, you know right from the beginning who the traitor is going to turn out to be. It's not going to be anyone other than this apparently faithful person that we've never ever seen before.
0 blue to 0 red.
And I think that happened a few times in Jerry Anderson shows. I think the only one to subvert it was Space Precinct, where they did an episode where there could have been a traitor, and there was... I think that was the first episode that Carson appeared in, and it was just a coincidence. But then they did the same thing later in The Witness. It's like, here's this, someone is leaking information. Who could it be? Who do you think it is? New guy that we've never seen before. It's so frustrating, but No. What can you do?
Remember, failure means danger to Atlanta. That is all.
So Commander Shaw has sent a message to a sinisterly voiced man, but he's forgotten that the tracking station is automatically recording all incoming and outgoing transmissions.
Well, maybe it wasn't.
In Marineville,
Maybe
at all
it's still
times.
here, with the traitor who stole it.
On tape.
There's not much we can do.
Put that disc on, Atlanta. The one that I like.
Come on, everybody! It's Gibbon time!
Sorry to disturb you, sir, but I've discovered something I think you ought to know about.
Okay, Lieutenant. What have you found?
It's,
Oh, trustworthy Lieutenant.
it's kind of personal, sir. Could you come across to the tracking station?
No, I couldn't, Lieutenant.
I really think I ought to...
Lieutenant Misen, will you please get on
You've
with
been a
this?
loyal
Stop
and
wasting
faithful
time.
member of the Wasps for, 5 minutes now.
Automatic interceptor tapes. There's a message on one which...
I mean, he even looks evil.
Will you stop being so mysterious? Play the tape back, Misen, right now.
And he's got a sort of villainy name. Sounds like he should be a villain in like a Dickens novel.
Operation. Isn't there some other way?
No, you must realize that success is imperative, even if the people closest to you get hurt. If you fail, then it is certain your friends will be in danger. Remember, failure means danger to Atlanta. That is all.
Okay, Lieutenant, that's enough. Carry on with your normal duties. I'll deal with this later.
Yes, sir.
But, sir, I don't understand.
Oh, that sounded just like you.
Someone must be impersonating your voice.
No, Atlanta, it was me. A good gag, huh?
You mean it was a joke, sir?
What else could it have been, Tempest?
But the other voice, Father, was that you too?
Yeah. Yeah, sure it was.
Well, you did it pretty well, sir.
Thanks, Troy. Now I'd better get across to the tower.
That's another
Duty calls, you
odd
know.
moment from Shaw
Okay,
there.
sir.
Trying to convince everyone that he's auditioning for Dead Ringers,
How
but
about some more music, Atlanta?
Sure, Troy. I'll fix it.
they must just be thinking that he's gone a bit round the bend. Getting on a bit. The old man's getting senile. Oh, Troy's watching him go from the window. Pull back the curtains.
I don't figure this. It's not like the commander to play practical jokes.
I also noticed that Troy has got his
What are you suggesting, Troy?
Nothing, Atlanta.
the waistline of his jeans is like
I suppose
hiked
it
up
does, Troy, but
pretty
if Father
much
says
to
he's
his
playing
armpits.
jokes, then that's good enough
He's
for
got
me.
Yeah. Guess so.
Lieutenant Fisher's on duty alone again. Doors creaking open.
Okay, Lieutenant. Get on home and rest your head.
Oh,
I'll take over.
Oh, I'll be okay, sir. I don't mind staying on. You never know. We might have more trouble.
Meaning that if we do, I won't be able to handle it, Is that it?
Why, no, sir. I didn't mean that.
and we have another scene of an actor talking, having a conversation with himself. That's Ray Barrett doing Shaw and Fisher. And poor old Fisher this week. I think that's the last we see of him in this episode. He's just been dismissed. He's had a crack on the head, but he's still come back to work.
Are all the guards doubled,
He's
Lieutenant?
just as chirpy and cheerful as ever and willing to stay on.
Good.
And he is treated so badly in this show. He's always
Yes, sir.
being kicked around and criticised, and he just takes it. He just takes it. He's so cheerful. Poor old Fisher. Him and John Tracy, they really need to form like a support group of just neglected, underappreciated Ray Barrett characters.
Tracking station to tower. Do you hear me?
Oh, Commander Shaw's been knocked out. Safe is open. No. So it's all a bit suspicious, and it's this is a surprisingly serious episode of Stingray so far. We're not used to this level of
Hit you, Commander.
No, Troy.
oh.
He came from behind. Some top secret plans have been stolen, and we've got to get after the culprit.
Now, you're not going to worry about this.
So I don't know who bandaged Shaw's head.
It's my job to worry.
No.
Compared to Fisher's, they didn't do a very good job.
Atlanta's right, sir. You must have had a nasty crack.
Okay, but I'm going under protest.
Unless Shaw did it himself, which
I'll drive you home.
for reasons we'll discover later, might well have been the case.
This is a bad business, sir. Everyone in Marineville's under suspicion.
Believe me, I shall be asking myself some pretty searching questions later on.
What makes a man turn traitor?
Any one of a number of reasons, Troy.
And this is, I think, one of my favourite moments of the entire series.
Politics. Duty.
Duty, sir?
Yes, Troy. The duty to oneself, to one's own family and friends.
Yeah.
Because much like the rest of this episode, it is an unusually
Could be.
serious and sort of grounded conversation between these two
Guess I'm
characters.
ready for some rest after all.
We're normally
Good
used
night,
to
sir.
seeing them sort of,
I'm
you
going
know,
back to the tower.
Shaw's barking out orders and Troy's just obeying them. But that's a conversation almost between two friends about something very serious.
To enter the tower before the alarm was sounded.
It's difficult to say this to you, Atlanta, but I think your father's more involved in this than you think.
You mean he knows something we don't?
No, Phones. He doesn't mean that. Go on, Troy. Why don't you say it? You think Father is the traitor.
Now, Atlanta, I know...
And this is always also a good episode, a really good episode to show off the strengths of the actors.
You accuse my father of being a traitor and expect me to be calm?
Atlanta, I'm only looking at the facts.
What facts? Tell me one thing.
It's Don Mason and especially Lois Maxwell are doing really well here.
Do you really believe the commander was joking?
He said it was a gag. It could have been.
No, honey, not the commander. He doesn't joke like that.
He normally jokes by, whipping us and telling us what to do. And
But his head. He was in pain.
Did you see any bruising? Any wounds? No, I figure he was shamming.
There's no proof.
Your father's not a fool, Atlanta.
oh, Atlanta's crying.
Could be he's covered his tracks well.
No, I don't believe it. I won't believe it.
How about the other night, when Lieutenant Fisher was slugged? Was your father at home?
I noticed they've got the first aid kits still on the control tower console, as if they're expecting
Troy, he wasn't there.
injury number 3 to happen
We
at
found
any
him
moment.
waiting for us in the control tower.
Yes, he discovered Fisher unconscious.
Yeah, but if he was awake, he could have got to the tower before us.
If he was awake, if it was a joke, if he was slugged. There's too many ifs, Phone.
I just hate ifs.
What am I going to do? Help me. Help my father.
Well, I'll do my best, Atlanta. You know that.
Well, I am pretty awesome, Atlanta, you know that.
He was watching over
I
him.
love the sort of understated smugness in Troy's voice sometimes.
This is Commander Shaw speaking. I do not want to be disturbed for the next 15 minutes.
As many times as I see these episodes, and I have seen this one quite a bit because it's one of the few I had on video as a kid, you still see things that you've never noticed before, and I'm just looking at that background painting of Marineville, the view from the top of the control tower windows. Again, it doesn't look like anything other than a painting, but it's so detailed, there's so much there. And it really helps to sort of give an idea of the scale and what else is in Marineville, which you don't always get from those establishing shots of the control tower.
Everything went according to plan.
Anyway, Shaw's sending another signal, but he's being spied on by Troy and Phones, who have, I don't know if they've installed these little windows especially for this,
I guess that's all the proof we need, Troy.
or if this little spying room was already there, but yeah, they've rumbled him.
I understand. Over and out.
Hold it, Commander. I'm sorry about this, but I guess you've asked for it. I've got to put you in the detention cell.
Troy, no. Can't he come home with me? I'll look after him.
Sorry, Atlanta. It's got to be this way.
Oh, poor
He's a
Don't
tra-
say it, Troy. Do what you have to, but don't mention that awful word.
Shh, Atlanta, baby. Troy's got his duty to do.
Will you take the commander to the detention pen, Phones, and then see Atlanta home? She needs a rest.
Sure, Troy.
Everyone's sending Atlanta home this week. What's Troy going to do while he's handed all the duties off to Phones?
Tracking station.
Here we go.
This is Captain Tempest speaking. As from now, I have taken over command of Marineville.
Yep, declaring martial law. Here we go.
Very well,
That's it.
And have the airfield stand by with a helicopter.
This will not end well.
Trained HQ in a half hour.
Why, Father? Just tell me why.
It's a long story, Atlanta. Go to the house and rest. Take her along, will you, Phones?
Yes, sir. Come on, Atlanta.
As much as I like what Lois Maxwell's doing with Atlanta in this episode.
It's all right, Troy. Believe me, I understand.
I'm not too keen on the fact that Atlanta's role in this is just to be sent away at all times.
You get off to headquarters and make your report.
I appreciate your attitude.
You know, considering that, everyone thinks her father is a traitor and all the evidence says he is, she should be more involved with this than maybe she is.
I'll do all I can to help. At the inquiry, I mean.
And I also like that just outside the detention cell is this big board headed regulations for the prisoners to read, like, these are the rules. These are all the things you did wrong. If you'd done this, you would have been okay. You wouldn't be in this cell now.
Troy's on his way.
That's rather cruel that that's the only literature that they're offering the prisoners in Marineville.
What if they find him guilty?
You know the penalty, Atlanta, but don't think about that. It could all be...
Smooth, Phones, real smooth.
Only I could believe that, Phones. But that last radio message... Well, you and Troy saw him.
You try and get some rest, Atlanta.
I'll be okay, Phones. Thanks.
I hope Marina comes by to make sure she's all right. Otherwise, Atlanta's role in this is just so pitiful. I feel so sorry for her.
Swift action. Whatever the commander is now, he
Here
had...
we are at World Security Patrol headquarters speaking to one of those 3 Admiral guys.
Quite so, Captain. And that's what makes his crime all the more serious.
Who always seem to have interchangeable voices in this show. They turned up in like 3 or 4 episodes. They never kept the voices consistent with those guys. And they never had any names, I don't think,
I won't
either.
leave him alone till you get back. I figure he needs some time to think things out.
Swell, Phones.
Out you come, Commander. Guess we're both on the same side, but I would never have figured it.
So it was you who took the hydroprobe.
Oh no! Not the new guy that we've never seen before. He was the traitor! Oh, he seemed so trustworthy as well.
Certainly found a good contact in you. I thought I was working alone here.
Oh.
We may have to fight our way out, so take this gun. Guess you won't be scared to use it, huh?
You bet I won't, Misen. You're under arrest.
Oh, that was the easiest luring out of a traitor we've ever seen, I think.
Deadly serious. Make a move and I'll fire. Traitor.
Oh.
But for that buggy of yours, Commander, I guess I would have been for the high jump.
More like a firing squad, Misen.
Yeah, but instead you're facing the bullets, not me. Now, before I shoot you, I'd like to know what all this double dealing is about.
Headquarters and I knew a traitor.
Oh, so Commander Shaw's pressed the little button on his
He
chair,
had to lay a plot to catch you, Misen.
transmitting to the control tower. Oh, Fisher's back.
To make it
Still
work,
with a bandaged
I had
head.
to force you into the
guy.
open. We figured that if I posed as a traitor, the real spy would contact me sooner or later.
Quite a plan, Commander.
Well, that was a fairly dangerous plan, in fact. I mean,
To make the plan work.
the real traitor could have thought, oh, thank goodness, someone else is up to no good. I'll use that as a cover and I'll just lie low. It seems like a plan that could have gone wrong in half a dozen ways, but...
Too bad you won't live to tell the story.
Get it
never
over
mind.
with,
It
Misen.
seems to have worked. Troy's racing over to the detention cell.
I've done okay up to now.
It's all over, Misen. You're washed up.
Oh, I thought you'd never get here, Troy.
So that's it. Commander Shaw is back in charge of Marineville. First order of business is to rename it from Tempestville back to Marineville.
What have you to report?
Yeah, the idea of Troy being left in charge of Marineville is rather funny, but also quite terrifying.
Captain Tempest.
Good afternoon, sir.
Glad to meet you, Tempest.
You acted exactly as you should have done. A lesser man would have avoided the responsibility.
Oh, this is a WASP commander. I think this is the ultra high commander.
Well, Troy, that was the big chief himself.
Big Chief himself, yeah. It looked like he had Jeff Tracy's ashtray radio thing on his desk. I'll have to check that. That might be slightly different, or it might be the same one.
And I'm resigning from the post as of this minute. Welcome back aboard.
Yes. Welcome back, Father.
Oh, Misen's in jail. Probably awaiting that firing squad. Although if you watch this in production order, Misen actually turns up again in several later episodes. He's I think a courier in Titan Goes Pop, and he might even turn up just as a random WASP officer in a few other places. So, clearly they weren't too fussed about his treachery. Anyway, that was Marineville Traitor, and yeah, I really like that one. I've always liked that one because it is something so different for Stingray. It is so much more serious. It's focused far more on the characters than most other episodes. There's not much in the way of like action or explosions. I think this is the only episode of the show that Stingray doesn't even appear in, which is very unusual considering it's a show called Stingray. But yeah, it's good to see these characters in a slightly more serious situation than normal. I also feel so sorry for Atlanta and also Lieutenant Fisher, who, by the way, at the end of this episode, did not get an apology for what happened. Commander Shaw is very, very apologetic, for letting down his friends, for letting down Atlanta, but getting to crack Lieutenant Fisher on the back of the head, that was the only fun part about it. Anyway, Marineville Traitor, another very good episode of Stingray.